So we ran the numbers last year. We did 38 weddings. 6 of them came from a social media inquiry where they said, we found you on
Wow.
Instagram, we found you on TikTok. And we got added to 4 venue lists. They would not have put me on that list had they not seen this TikTok, so it ends up compounding really quickly, even if you don't have hundreds of thousands of followers.
Hey there, CEOs. My name is Brandee, and every single week I'm here on this podcast to help you, the wedding industry entrepreneur, to build a profitable wedding business that you actually love. I want to ask you a question. Are you on TikTok? Or are you kind of one of these wedding pros like me who's like, I just don't think I'm ready for TikTok yet. It's just another social media platform, and I really don't understand how it's going to actually bring business to my business. Now, y'all know I will never tell you to do something for your business just because everyone else is doing it. I want to know, what is the return on this investment of my time? Because my time is precious and I'm not willing to give it up if I don't understand what the return is, right? Well, on today's podcast, I'm talking with Meagan from Magnolia Collective, and she has mastered TikTok and how to use it for her planning business. She tells us all about how she first got on TikTok, how she first went viral, what kind of videos she makes, and we talk all about how she has found a significant return on her investment of time, as well as how she uses it with her team. You guys do not want to sleep on this episode. It is such a good one. And I promise you, by the end, you're going to want to dip your toes in TikTok. All right, you guys, are you ready to dig into this one? Let's go. Meagan, I've been so excited about this topic that I'm just like, yes, finally we're sitting down. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Okay, so today we are talking all about TikTok. It's really such a hot topic right now in the wedding industry. Everybody keeps saying you need to be on TikTok, but I want to talk all about, why do we need to be on TikTok? What has it done for your business? And I'd love to talk about your journey to get there. But before that, can you just tell everybody kind of like your quick overview of who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So the name of my company is Magnolia Collective. We're a planning and design team. I have 2 locations, one in Raleigh, North Carolina, and then a second team in Richmond, Virginia. So this is our 13th year, and
Wow.
we're just navigating now, planning in 2 states, but it's a lot of fun.
So tell me when you decided to get on TikTok. How long have you had a presence there?
I, like so many people at the beginning of COVID, got the app and was just absorbing it. I kick myself now just because my ex-husband had said literally 18 months before, like, TikTok's coming and you should really be on that. And at the time, it was all teenagers dancing in front of a
Yeah.
mirror, and I was like, I can't relate. No, it's not happening. But come 2020, all we had was time, really. And I went to school for marketing and communications. So I kind of approached it like a puzzle. I was like, there's
Mm.
something here. Brands weren't really on it yet, but I was like, there were a lot of brides and engaged couples that were showing up and giving each other advice. And that's great. But there was no one that was actually in it, like, and so you would see, I was just seeing these trend of obviously people who are stressed about their weddings getting rescheduled, but no one was actually talking to them as like a professional in that moment. We were all on Clubhouse
Right.
and they were all here spiraling. So I just kind of started looking at it and really just making like a running list on my phone of just, if I'm triggered by something like, "Oh, wow, this could work," or that could work. Um, and really just started showing up, and it was like me in my pajamas on the couch being like, "Okay, so we're here again. What's up? What do you need?"
So interesting. Okay, so 2020, all of a sudden, all the millennials and even really Gen X started flooding into TikTok. So you started just kind of posting. What would you post about? Like you said, you had a running list in your phone. Like, what were some of the things that you would post about?
Yeah. So What I was doing at the time was as I would see all of these engaged couples and they were having these problems or these stressors or these things, I would then go and make a TikTok that was an answer to that question. And I would maybe
Okay.
respond to their question. What do you do when you have to move your reception inside? Or what are alternatives to a seating chart? Some of those things that we are sitting on these galleries from weddings, or we're sitting on these answers to problems that we've figured out for another client. Sometimes I would go and comment on them like, "Oh, hey, I just actually answered that question on my TikTok over here," engaging in people that way instead of doing the comments of like, "Great point. That's wonderful," but redirecting them with actual information without being this know-it-all Karen in their comments of like, trolling them, but just being like, "Actually, that is such a great point. We see that with a lot of our couples. You could see where I've answered it here." Pulling them over to realize we have some answers to these questions that are not this Facebook forum of, "I just got engaged and what should I do?" And that ended up also being really helpful as people started to spiral with, "My venue made me cancel," or "I have to reschedule and what am I going to do?" I can help you answer that question. So it was
Yeah.
just kind of a natural evolution of let me give you something and then also let me tame the very scary crowd of angry brides.
Yeah, I can see how that would make sense. That was such a great time to kind of jump on there and be the educator that really had so much of the information that these couples needed. So, okay,
Mhm.
so you started making these videos and did it take off pretty quickly cuz you have a really large following?
Yeah, so ironically, the first viral video I had was a DIY like Dollar Tree craft. I was
Ah,
making like the foam poster board and sticking like the fake florals in the background so that I would have
okay.
a backdrop. I'm in a bridal suite today, but if I was filming something, it would be in my office with this backdrop, right? And I
Okay.
had no thought or inclination of it going viral at all. I would say I probably had 1,200 followers when I made that video, maybe like a month or 2 into posting, and I gained 5,000 followers from
Well,
that video. And I was like, "This is not even what I my job, right? Like, this is just something I'm doing." But then for like 6 weeks of videos after that, if anyone asked me a question, I would film it in front of that backdrop that I had made because the algorithm at the time, they would just see this and be like, "Oh, people want to see this content, right? They want to see this flower wall." And so it was always there. I wasn't talking about it anymore. I was talking about other things, but it got people listening to me. And all of a sudden, I had this more engaged audience. But one thing that I've really noticed is when I started, there were so many people who were like, "We're going to give advice in our car, and it's going to be a 30-second video in our car." And that's
yeah.
the whole grid, right? That's all they ever are doing.
Yeah.
And now people seem to be more into like, what do you do day to day? We want to see your business, but we also want to see your life or the things that you don't like or just that variety because they feel like they know these creators. They feel like they know these
Mhm.
people. So they want to get to know you. So that's a very different switch from like Instagram where you are always only pushing out your business, your business, your business. On TikTok, they're like, "What'd you make for dinner tonight?" And it's like, "Okay."
Okay, this is okay, so let's dig into this for a little bit. So, a lot of people know this. In 2020, when, right, the world shut down, I had like a 30-day goal to get on TikTok and post 1 TikTok a day, and I did it, but it was awful, I hated it, and I and I really got no traction whatsoever. I think
Mhm.
I don't know, I got a couple 100 followers. I was annoyed. I was just like, "Forget it, I'm going off," and I literally went off for 2 years until really, like, last fall, so fall of 2022, and I was like, "Okay, it's time to get back on TikTok." And immediately we were making the same kind of content for TikTok that we make on Instagram, which clearly was not working at
Mhm.
all. But this is a question I think a lot of our listeners are going to have is really kind of what I struggle with a little bit on TikTok, and I guess maybe a little bit of the freedom too. But on Instagram, I get the comment a lot that people feel like they know me. Like they're like, you've just mastered this balance of like, we just feel like we know you so well, but you're still very professional. And
Mhm.
in reality, I really share very, very little of my personal life. Like I really
Yep.
don't. I'm a very private person. I've made it feel like I share a lot of my personal life, I guess, but I don't. Now on TikTok, they legit want your personal life. Like kind of like what you just
Mhm.
said. Like there's no sugarcoating it. They basically want you to wake up, have no hair and makeup, like talk to the camera while you're making your breakfast with a top bun on. And like I just am not sure
Mhm.
yet how that plays into a brand. You're there under Magnolia Collective for your brand. Did you struggle at all with that balance of like, I'm a professional wedding planner, but then here I am in my, I don't know if I've ever seen you show up in your pajamas, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just literally raw and real.
Yeah, it's a big learning curve for sure. And my ex, his background was Homeland Security. So it was
Okay.
always this juxtaposition of he shared nothing. He wanted to share nothing. And here I am
Yes.
like, okay, so I've got to kind of share everything. But it
Yeah.
it was very helpful because there are so many things that you can share that are not really sharing, right? I'm not
Right.
folding our laundry sharing, a wedding tip, right? But I can
Okay.
have a B-roll reel of me typing on the computer and answering an email or doing whatever, and it's only showing me at my desk at home, but maybe it's using a trending sound, maybe it's answering a question, maybe it's, something like that. That is totally within the bubble that I can share without being like, you just got home from work. How do you feel about today? Like not
Yeah.
what it's about, right? Like I recently went through a breakup. I did not share that on Instagram or any other platform. I did share it
Okay.
on TikTok without
Yes.
going into like, this is exactly what happened and this and this is that. But it makes people feel one, I can kind of put it out there with, and then if people see it, they see it without having it overtake everything else.
Mhm.
Um, but it also gives them a little bit more understanding. I think in the pandemic, a lot of people lost some of their empathy, and it
An
allows
understatement.
people to see, oh, well, maybe she didn't respond to my email at 11:30 at night, but she is going through something right now. So like I can give her until 9 a.m. before I start texting her or calling her or doing all of the things. So for me, it helped to establish I was a human being in front of these
Okay.
couples, and I have a family and I have 3 dogs to take care of, and I was moving again, and just for them to even see that element, it helped kind of check them a little bit, and without me having to do it to their face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
They're just saying, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I find that so interesting because it's funny that we're recording this now because we were supposed to record this weeks and weeks ago, right? And
Yeah.
my father passed away at the beginning of 2023. And my mission was like 3 TikToks a day, 3 TikToks a day. And that's what I said I was going to do. And I'm kind of like set a goal, meet the goal. Like I don't
Mhm.
not meet goals, right? And so
Yeah.
all of a sudden, my world got turned upside down. And I was texting with a friend, like, I don't know how to show up because this isn't something I really want to share and
Yep.
I don't know how to show up and make it seem like everything is okay. And so it was interesting
Mhm.
to watch you like all of my videos were in my car because I was driving back and forth to the hospital the entire
Yeah.
time. So I was like, I just have to make these videos. But I
Yeah.
remember the pressure the week that he actually passed away. I all week I was like, I have to get on TikTok. I have to get on TikTok. Like I have to make 3 TikToks a day. And I finally had to give myself the permission to just kind of be like, I either have to share this there or I need to
Mhm.
just take a break because I can't pretend. I just can't. Like it wasn't in my
Yep.
spirit to be able to do that. So I thought it was interesting how you shared so much about what you were going through. And I did I was like, "Oh, that's great that you feel like you can do that. I don't think I'm there yet, but you've been on TikTok for a
Mhm,
while, right? But I love that your couples can see that you are a real person and that
mhm.
life is real, right? And I think that's what's at least the hardest for me on TikTok is that people want the real, and I don't necessarily know that I'm there yet. Like, for me, one of the things that's been interesting is that I have gotten to the place where I can literally be laying on the couch with no makeup on at, 11 o'clock at night and have a thought and just, like, go and make a
Mhm.
TikTok because it doesn't need the polish that Instagram needs.
Yeah. So the other thing too, like, that I think helped me was partially because my significant other, his face is never on social media. It was never a thing, right? But I could share elements of my job that people don't
Mm,
always understand that a planner does, right? Me sitting at our dining room table on a Friday night after a rehearsal, folding napkins, putting them in
yes.
packets because we've got a tight flip, like
Yeah,
organizing place cards and triple checking to make sure all of the meals are right,
yeah.
showing and my screen being like an all seated floor plan and going through and changing the chair counts. Like those are all elements that couples don't really see as being our job, especially when they come in the vein of my venue told me I only need a day of coordinator and I'm going to be able to handle all of this stuff. And if they see all of these things that we're doing day to day, they're like, who's going to do that for me? When am I doing that?
Yes,
Is my mom
yes.
gonna do that? And without me preaching to them, they just see what the job is. And the other thing in that same vein, we got added on, I think, 3 venues lists after venues reached out to us after they saw, like, how I organized things and how
Okay.
my process was on the front end of being like, "We wanna work with you." Like, we
Very interesting.
don't We and, my second team is new in Virginia. It's only been there for 3 years. So having those venues that when they see our name, they're like, "Oh, yes, we're excited to work with you. We know that you're coming in organized. We know that you're having this." That's not me emailing them saying, "Can you please put me on your list?" That's me putting out content, you know, and then they're seeing it and they're asking us.
Okay, Megan. Okay, I love that you said that because let's turn it to that because I know everyone listening is like, okay, ladies, this is great and all, but how is this going to really affect my business? And when we first started talking about this episode, really, that was a huge reason for even talking about TikTok on the
Mhm,
podcast, and I want to keep bringing this to light because what I never wanna be is somebody that's like a clanging gong that's like, "You just gotta get on the next social media platform because we said so, because you just gotta get there." No. What's the return on investment for the people that are there? So, tell us a little bit about how it's affected your business. So, you've gotten on multiple venue lists because they've
mhm,
seen your content. What I guess for me, one of the things the biggest question I have is, okay, so you're speaking to couples, I mean, all over the world, really, when you're doing these educational videos, but you
mhm.
really only work in these 2 states. I mean, I guess, obviously, if somebody really wanted to fly you to Australia, I'm sure you'd go for the
Sure.
right price, right? But for the most part, you market to these 2 markets that you're in. How do you get business from TikTok?
Yeah, definitely. The first thing that I saw was shortly after my first viral video, which was that flower wall. I had gone to do a walkthrough at a new venue to me, not a new venue, but a
Okay,
new venue to me on the coast, North Carolina, like right at the beach. And I did a TikTok that was like the venue tour. I
okay,
had 2 couples reach out. I was not on this list, but I just had a wedding that was coming up in the fall at this venue.
okay.
So I was like, I wanna see it before I'm there with a couple that is coming through and being like, "Well, I want this here and I want this there." I wanted to be able to come in with this informed decision making, right?
Yeah.
I made a video of the tour. I had 2 couples reach out to me, one on TikTok and one on Instagram within 2 weeks of that video saying, "We saw your video about the Beaufort Hotel. We are getting married there. Are you available on our date?"
What?
Just because they were like, "Oh, this person has been in our space." They understand, "Oh, yeah,
Yes.
that is where I want this ceremony to go. That is a great place for a first look. And I had not even spoken to them. The one couple, both of them booked us. The one couple, we sent them a contract without them even getting on the phone with us because she did a deep dive on our TikTok. And she was like, I feel like I know you. You've already answered a lot
Yes.
of my questions. Like
Yes.
you've gone through and done this. Yeah, I'm good, but I'm really busy and I don't have time to
Yeah.
schedule this. I'm just going to sign the contract and then you circle back with me on when it's a good time for you. And I was like,
Wow.
this is the easiest money that I've ever made. Like
Yes.
it checked off 3 of my boxes, right? Like I had
Of
to do the
course.
venue tour for this couple. Now you just booked 2 new couples and one of them gave me some of my time back, and I was
Right.
like,
Wow.
amazing. Like you're my new best
Yeah.
friends, right? So we ran the numbers last year. We did 38 weddings. 6 of them came from a social media inquiry where they said, we found you on
Wow.
Instagram, we found you on TikTok. And we got added to 4 venue lists. They would not have
Right.
put me on that list had they not seen this TikTok, So it ends up compounding really quickly, even if you don't have hundreds of thousands of followers.
Right. I think that's always one of the challenges. This is so interesting, Megan. Honestly, to hear you say that, I'm like, wow. I teach on Instagram, right? So I talk about Instagram all the time. And I think Instagram, for whatever reason, to me, it's just clearly a business platform. Like we know our couples are there. We know,
Mhm.
right? That they're on Instagram and they're shopping there too. Like they can DM you right away. Now, with your TikTok strategy, do you push people to go to Instagram from TikTok? Like how do you get
I
them to reach out to you?
I do not push them off the app because the algorithm does not like that, right? They do not like for you to send people away. And then they will monitor how much your videos are being shown and pushed out. So I never
Oh,
direct them outside of the app, but you can always send us a DM or the link to our website is in the bio, but I'm not
sure.
pushing people away. I always answer their questions. I've had several couples that I answer their questions back and forth in the comments, and then they send me a DM, and then we end up
Okay.
talking, from there.
And when you say they send
So,
you a DM, they're sending you a DM on Instagram,
no,
right?
there's a
Because there's
DM on TikTok as well.
okay. It doesn't seem as popular though. Do people I guess if you're on the app a lot, you know to use it, but
Yeah, it's more like just if we're having a conversation, like you can direct like send me a message and
I
I'll
got
send
it.
you the
Okay.
information you need, like
Got
that
it.
kind of
Okay.
thing. So,
Yeah.
it's definitely not the same as Instagram where you would um think to go and check your requests every day or, things like that. You kind of have to call
Got it.
attention back to it. And that works twofold. If we've had clients or people who were an engaged couple, right? That's just like
Mhm.
um expressing this concern or this issue or something. And I know I've got a download that I can send them or something. I will
Ah,
comment, I just sent you a message, go check it. That kind of thing that is helpful as well. And they appreciate
okay.
that like kind of hand holding scenario because they're like, oh wow, there's resources right here that I can lean into.
Now, you have a team in
Mhm.
2 markets, and so but you're really the only one who's showing up on your TikTok. So tell us a little bit about that. Do you get people that say, "No, I only want you"?
So that's something that I struggle with because our team is set up differently than a lot of other
Okay.
planners. When couples hire us, they always work with me at some point. So we are not like oh, we've booked and inquired and Savannah's available on your date. So you only ever talk to Savannah. I always want the systems and processes to be the same and they meet that planner at the end in those like last 3 months and they're then integrated into that workflow. That way, if we had this couple that had a wonderful experience and they say you have to work with them, and then they end up working with, Bailey instead of me, and Bailey and I work very differently. I never want that couple to say, "Well, I thought that I was going to get this, this, and this, and I was going to have
Mhm.
all of these touch points." That way, the touch points are always the same. No matter who you work with on that wedding weekend, you always have that same warm, fuzzy feeling going into it, right? So when we do TikToks, we will have up to 3 weddings in a weekend.
Sure.
The girls will always capture Instagram content and TikTok content, and then they upload it into our drive. And then I take all of the videos and make TikToks out of them. And Bailey takes all of the Instagram and does all of our reels and our stories and stuff like that. So occasionally the girls will be at a wedding and say, "Oh, Megan will want this, but it involves me talking to someone," and they'll jump on. And I'm never like, I can be the only face. Like, I don't care. I'm like,
Right,
great.
right.
That was a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
But a lot of times if you see like one of our videos that it's just videos of the reception space or the bride walking down the aisle, I wasn't necessarily there.
Sure.
They just sent me that video and then I made the video.
Yeah. If there's people that are listening and they're like, "Okay, I want to give TikTok a really valiant effort. Like I want to try it." What
Mhm.
suggestions would you have for somebody a wedding pro just starting out on TikTok, or maybe they've been there but they've just kind of been repurposing Instagram content for now? Like what would you tell them that they should do?
Yeah, definitely. Well, kind of going back, I know you had said earlier in the year you would wanted to push out 3 videos a day and
Yeah.
you felt that pressure. I probably have I'll check. I probably have like 53 drafts right now that are just
Oh my
preloaded
god.
and ready to go in TikTok.
Okay.
51.
Okay.
So if I'm not feeling it, I'm going to pull from one of those.
Yep.
The one I pulled this morning was a wedding from October.
Okay.
So I always have this kind of
Like
batch
a
that if
bank.
I'm not ready to
Yeah.
be in front of the camera, that's there. From a planner perspective, we are always in the mindset already of I want a picture of her walking down the aisle. I want a picture of the cake cutting. I want a picture in the bridal suite so I can tag all of those vendors, right? So the
Mhm.
easiest, quickest thing is to just like toggle over on your phone and also take a quick video.
Mhm.
You haven't edited any of that stuff yet, but you have that available to you. So then if you see a trend that pops up and it's like showing that audio that I think it's been on Instagram and TikTok now, but it's part of me wants to be her. Part of me wants to be her. Part of me wants to be her. And planners, venues, whoever can show a video of 6 different types of weddings that they've done
Mm.
that are already in their camera roll, right? So it's just kind of going
Yes.
back and a lot of time recycling that same information you already have and just changing the message or changing the audio and so you don't have to get up every morning and say, "I have to film this content today." Um
Mhm.
you're pulling from your own library. When I do coaching, I like sit down and I'm like, "Oh, you're a DJ. So this is what I've seen that works really well for DJs, but then maybe it works a little bit differently for you. Maybe you're not going
Yeah.
to get up and do a mix on, a mashup. Maybe you want to answer frequently asked questions or you want to put out
Yeah.
music trivia or, like, so it's kind of starting that conversation of like, what is your business? How are you already showing up for your couples? How can we make that something that
Mhm.
becomes an extension of your brand so that you can use some of it for Instagram or some of it for Pinterest, but it's just not going to be
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. Okay, so and I talk about that a lot when I'm talking to wedding pros about using Instagram. So it's really the same philosophy is take the pictures, take the videos, just have them in your bank. I think the
Yep.
pressure for me on TikTok was coming from that, oh, I want to show up raw and real. And it just, I need to get used to it. Last question I think I want to ask, because I want to make sure that everybody has the tools they need to like go get started on TikTok if they haven't already. Personal account versus business account, especially when you're starting out. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I would do a business account because as brands are getting more popular, brands can
Yeah.
also more organically reach out and understand, if it is a product or a service that, you can help with,
Right.
that can eventually lead to an additional revenue stream. I did a video one time that it was the taper candles that just they melted and were all over the table. They were not dripless. So they
Yeah.
were all over the table in like 30 minutes. And I just took a video of the table and I was like, planners and florists, look out for this. Two
Yeah.
different companies reached out to me and they were like, we've got the fake candles that either look realistic or we've got the ones that,
Yeah.
you put the oil in and then they burn for 150 hours or something.
Yeah.
Also, can we buy this video from you and use it in part of our advertising? And I was like,
You're like,
yeah, just don't throw this florist under the bus, but yes,
right.
like it was not her fault. The bride gave her those candles. Protect your relationship in that way, but absolutely. Business, I would definitely say, is the way to go because they're trying to find ways to support businesses a lot more than just the individual.
And so opposite from Instagram, really, because Instagram is like, we want to support creators, we want to support creators,
Hmm.
which is more like well, it's not a business account. So, okay,
Yeah.
Meagan, where can everybody go? First of all, where can they follow you on TikTok? Give us your handle. And then also, where can they learn more about you?
Absolutely. So my handle on TikTok is magnolia.collective. And then on Instagram, we're Magnolia Collective Co. And we have resources for coaching. We've got resources for like just a one-on-one call. We're constantly trying to figure out different ways to really show up and help move the needle for our friends, right? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
do me any good to be the only planner on this platform, right? And I'm
Yeah.
not anymore, which is fantastic. In the same way that we show up in the same markets and offer different things, like just for people to be able to come in and offer their own thing is really wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. Okay, you guys go give Meagan a follow and make sure that you let her know that you heard her on the Wedding Pro CEO podcast. Say hi, let her know if you've learned any nuggets from this show. And if you do decide to go over and give TikTok a shot, I would love to know. So make sure that you tag Meagan and I on Instagram so that we can know that this episode was helpful. Meagan, thank you so much for being here. This was a wealth of information.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.